next, which is just preparing for the studio. What do you have to have? What's important to be ready for? And one thing that just saved me a ton of time when I went to record was having all of my songs typed up, printed with the chords, with the key of the song, with the BPM, which means beats per minute, if you don't know what that is. So find the actual click to the song, the click track, and actually put it right there at the top, because that's what your engineer is going to know. What key is this in? What's the beat per minute, so he can set the metronome. I had all that written out. I had the entire chord chart with all the lyrics, because sometimes when you're in the songwriting process, you might play the song, write the song, and then practice the song, and then play the song over and over, but you might have not ever wrote it down, depending on how your ingredients went. If you started with the lyrics first, you probably wrote it down. But if the lyrics came to you, you might have not even wrote it down yet. You need to write it down, get all the chords on it, get the key on it, and get the beats per minute for each song. I mean, I had 20 songs. I went to the studio with those 5 EPs. I had 20 songs. I'm sorry, 4 EPs, but 20 songs. And I had to know back to back to back as we were laying down what's called the scratch track, and be prepared for that. You got to be able to play the song from start to finish all the way through. It's called a scratch track. Then you go back individually and lay down vocals, lay down the acoustic, or if it's an acoustic song, obviously you'd start with, if it was a full band, you start with drums, bass, etc. But if you didn't know that, that's actually the process of recording, is you lay down a scratch track. So if you can't play the song all the way through to a click without stopping, then you're not ready to record. You got to do that first. And they go back to back to back because you only have limited time in the studio. So if you just have all the chords, next song, bam, you can play the whole thing, do the scratch track, bam, go to the next song. So I would have them all typed up. I'd have them in a little book, and I'd have the key, the beats per minute, and exactly what you want the lyrics to be, and not change a whole lot. Obviously, you need a little bit of freedom. And then the genre defined too, because I write multiple genres. Not all songwriters do that. I write multiple genres. So I had it very clear. These 5 songs are acoustic pop. These 5 songs are acoustic worship. These 5 are corporate worship. And these 5 are rock and metal. I'd really encourage you to do it that way, because what I found for me is my audience, I appeal to a broader audience because I have more than one genre represented, if you have the capacity to do that. But also, they're less offended, because if an elderly woman in my church bought my worship CD and then heard a metal song on the very next track, obviously she wouldn't be very excited about that. So I'd encourage you, have all that stuff clearly defined before you go into the studio. And the other thing is, know your producer, know your engineer. If you just go and hire a studio because it's the best rate, you might not be that pleased with how you're treated by the actual engineer and the producer. I knew my engineer and producer was the same guy. I knew him personally. So it just put an ease. I didn't feel like I had to perform necessarily. I knew it had to be excellent, and he challenged me, but it was like there was just a peace in the room, and we were just 2 guys hanging out, just friends doing music, and then he challenged me. But really know your producer and engineer, and it might be beneficial to pay a little bit more to be with that person that you know, trust, love, respect, versus just somebody else that's willing to do it cheaper. Because the person you know is going to make you feel comfortable, and they're going to allow you to play the song with ease rather than being under tension and stress. And so it's going to come out more naturally.
Can someone tell me what is real? All I